First order of business.
Approval of the minutes of the council meetings of October 4th and October 11th.
On Council Christian's motion to approve the minutes, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Minutes approved.
Application for license to drive a taxi cab, Noel Alexander, 154 Linway Lynn, Brian Miller, 87 Reed Street, Everett. Application for a livery license, Mohammed Abu Tada, 190 Mountain Ave. An application for a Class 2 dealer's license, ERC Incorporated, doing business as City Line Auto Brokers, 497 Broadway.
Refer to license?
On Council Anderson's motion to refer to license, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Papers referred to license.
Resolved that as the sense of City Council that the Traffic Commission install no parking signs on the east side of Cross Street from the railroad tracks to Salem Street. Councilor Kinnon.
Council Kinnon.
Yes, thank you. This is just because there's a new facility opening up down there. That is in Ward 6, right on the border of Ward 6, on that side of the street. And there'll be buses going in and out of there. If people park there, the buses won't be able to come out of the facility. So, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Kinnon. Any questions for Council Kinnon? Seeing no license, no lights up.
Sorry.
Oh, Council Murphy.
So when you say the east side, you're talking about, the whole street you want no parking?
No.
Okay.
No, from the railroad tracks toward
Salem Street.
Towards Salem Street?
I meant Eastern Ave.
Maybe you
Okay,
could share that microphone.
this is a problem for me, okay.
No, it should say Eastern Ave. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, you just
Sorry.
you threw me on that one, okay.
Ward 7.
Okay, so it should read,
Ward 6. 7's on the other side.
Yeah.
so it should read no parking signs on the east side of Eastern Ave from the railroad tracks to Salem Street?
From Cross Street, the railroad tracks down to Eastern Ave. Sorry for the confusion.
Got it.
Yeah.
On the east side.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Is that it, Council Murphy? All set?
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay, if the clerk could read the motion one more time.
Okay. So it's resolved as the sense of City Council that the Traffic Commission install no parking signs on the east side of Cross Street from the railroad tracks to Eastern Ave.
Okay, everyone knows the change. On Council Kinnon's motion to pass, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Paper passes.
Dear Councilors, the Planning Board and City Council Ordinance Committee jointly held a public hearing on October 12, 2011 regarding Council Paper 301, amending the zoning map. As a result of the public hearing, the majority of the Planning Board, namely all 9 members present, voted to recommend to the City Council approval of the amendment as submitted with the following revision. Add the language, this amendment shall not apply to applications for building permits or occupancy permits filed prior to the date of the first publication of notice of the public hearing on the amendment, September 28, 2011. The tape recording of the minutes of the joint public hearing will be available at your request. For your reference, attached, please find the Planning Board staff report and recommendation dated October 12, 2011 that was presented at the hearing. Finally, please be advised that if the City Council fails to act on the amendments within 90 days after the hearing, a new duly advertised public hearing must be held. The final date for action is January 10, 2012. Please contact me with any questions. Thank you. Sincerely, Michelle Ramiro, Principal Planner.
Okay, any questions? Okay, on Council Bucci's motion, and placed on file. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Papers placed on file.
The Standing Committee on Appointments, to whom is referred paper number 326 of series of 2011, having considered the same, make the following report. Mayor's appointment of Elaine F. Ritterhouse of 65 Garden Street as a member of the Board and Register of Voters, said term to expire March 31st, 2015. Committee recommends that this paper be reported out favorably. Councilor Anderson for the committee.
On Councilor Anderson's motion, receive the committee report. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Councilor Anderson.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. This is a meeting that we had just last week with Elaine Ritterhouse, who has been a member of the Registrar of Voters and was up for appointment. She served with distinction during her prior time on that board, and the vote was 3-0 favorably, so we ask that that appointment go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson. Any questions of Councilor Anderson? Seeing no lights, on Councilor Anderson's motion to confirm, clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Anderson.
Yes?
Bucci.
Yes.
Christensen.
Yes.
Condon.
Yes.
DePietro.
Yes.
Fallon.
Yes.
Kinnon.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes.
Nestor.
Yes.
Lucy.
Yes. Congratulations, Mrs. Ritterhouse. Next order of business.
The Standing Committee on License, to whom is referred paper number 328, series of 2011, having considered the same, make the following report. Application for livery license, Kennedy Classic Limo, 63 Hanover Street. Committee recommends that this license be granted with the stipulation that limousines be parked at 54 Dartmouth Street at all times. Councilor Anderson for the committee.
On Councilor Anderson's motion, receive the committee report. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Councilor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. President. This was an application that I had spoken with the ward councilor, Councilor Cannon, about, and there were concerns that this livery operator was applying for a renewal of their license. There were some issues around leaving their limousines there on the public street. We made it very clear that that was not to happen, that the livery business was to find appropriate off-street parking. They have done that, and therefore we ask that this license be granted.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson. Any questions for Councilor Anderson? Seeing no lights, on Councilor Anderson's motion to grant with conditions. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? License granted.
The Standing Committee on License, to whom is referred papers number 193F and 85I, series of 2011, having considered the same, make the following report. Application for license to drive a taxi. Committee recommends that these applications be placed on file. Councilor Anderson for the committee.
On Councilor Anderson's motion, receive the committee report. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Councilor Anderson.
Yeah, as you know, when applicants apply to drive our taxis in the city, we take it very seriously as we look at their background, both their work background as well as any criminal records they may have. And in the case of these two applicants, with their criminal past was such that the vote was that they not be granted a license, and so we would ask that the full council support that vote of the license committee.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson. Any questions for Councilor Anderson? Seeing no lights, on Councilor Anderson's motion to place on file. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Applications are placed on file.
The Standing Committee on License, to whom is referred papers number 240C, 287A, and 327, series of 2011, having considered the same, make the following report. Application for license to drive a taxi cab, Nicholas Russo, 35 Essex Street, Malden, William Harkins, 5 Hilby Street, Woburn, Alamari Tariq, 35 Macoba Street, Revere. Committee recommends that these licenses be granted. Councilor Anderson for the committee.
On Councilor Anderson's motion, see the committee report. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Councilor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. President. In this case, these three applicants, the committee originally had issues with their background, so we invited these applicants, as we have others, to come in and speak before us, and the committee was convinced, after having heard from these persons, that they were suitable to drive our taxis, that they understood the awesome responsibility they have in handling the public, that the trust that we were putting in them, and therefore the committee voted favorably to grant these licenses, and I'd ask the full council to support the granting of these licenses. Thank you.
Any questions for Councilor Anderson? Seeing no lights on Councilor Anderson's motion to grant, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? License are granted. Next order of business.
Under suspension of docket rules, resolved that it is the sense of the City Council that the Traffic Commission investigate and take remedial action to curb speeding on Salem Street from Beach Street to Kennedy Drive. Councilor Bucci.
On Councilor Bucci's motion to suspend docket rules, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Councilor Bucci.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. This is an area of been great concern. Folks obviously are cutting through the neighborhoods, coming off Route 1 and trying to take some shortcuts, as it does happen fairly in other areas of the city, but certainly the folks up on Salem Street in that particular area have asked that the Traffic Commission take a more serious step in terms of trying to address some actions that can be taken to slow that process down. Some of these vehicles are getting hit, so there is some property damage going on, and I've assured them that like with most, with all the items that are brought before me, they'll obviously take it under consideration and review it for them. So if I could just get your support to send this to Traffic Commission, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Thank you. And any questions of Councilor Bucci? Seeing no lights on Councilor Bucci's motion to pass, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion sent to traffic. Next order of
The
business.
docket is clear.
Docket is clear. Personal privilege. Start on my right. Councilor Bucci.
Thank you, Mr. President. Couple things. I do want to give another shout out and express my appreciation. We completed our Farmers Market, Fall Festival Farmers Market in Linden Square, which was a fabulous success. The vendors were more than pleased, have committed to come back in the spring as well as the next fall. So I think we've found a bit of a staple for Linden Square. So I do want to thank all the folks involved, and certainly could not have done it without the residents and the DPW. Also wanted to thank the Board of Health, and Yankee Pest Control is the company that we are contracted with for pest management. We had a fabulous meeting with our residents down at Linden School a couple weeks ago to just talk about, educate, inform folks about what was happening in terms of some pest management concerns that are still very heavy and as well as very significant. We will certainly continue our work with the neighbors that were there, as well as helping those neighbors spread the information throughout the neighborhoods to obviously make some headway and improvement. But again, I do want to thank Chris Webb for organizing that with us, and the approximate 80 to 85 people that were in attendance certainly have expressed their appreciation, and actually it's kind of it's very important to note that they've taken some of the information that was shared with them to heart, to the point that, you know, again, I have an annual spring cleanup every year. This is a different type of cleanup that those folks are doing in their yards currently. So again, we are going to get our hands around this particular situation, but to the good work of the Board of Health and his associates. Want to do one last shout out that, you know, absentee ballots are extremely important, and for folks who can't make it to the election on November 8th. So as chair of the Citizens Engagement Committee, I do want to always take every opportunity to publicly ask folks that if they can't make it, to please call your counselors, write in, I believe, is also a request. Am I correct, Karen? They can request it in writing, but certainly, you know, please exercise your right to vote and help us all, you know, make a difference in the upcoming elections. I also want to remind folks that there is a new show that is clearly identified as Council and Community, and we've accomplished a couple more 30-minute segments on what I would hope would be important information to be shared with the community in terms of the good work that the Council is doing. And I did a show recently with Jim Nestor and Deborah Brook from the Malden Redevelopment Authority on downtown revitalization. So as we're back in session and we're talking about a lot of these projects that will be coming before us, once again, it's important to take a minute, turn on local cable, and I think people will get a wealth of information. So I do want to thank Jim Nestor. I think he's been spearheading a pretty big operation downtown, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Council Bucci. Council Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. President. 3 items. Tomorrow night is the last day to register to vote for the municipal election, so the city clerk's office will be open until 8 p.m. So once again, tomorrow is the last day to register to vote. Subsequent to that, Mr. President, we also want to continue to remind people about the upcoming ballot questions. There will be 3 of them. They're now on our website, both in the news section as well as on the city clerk's site as well. And the other thing I encourage the individual councils to do is to, convert some of the technical language so it's easier for residents to understand what the meaning is behind the 3 questions. Once again, the first one deals with the initiative petition. The second one deals with how to fill a vacancy in elective office, and then the final one is a person not being allowed to run for more than 2 offices. Those will be the 3 questions. And then finally, I hate to bring this up, but snow and ice removal. One of the things we've been trying to do over the years with our snow and ice ordinances, provide a list of people that will be able to help those residents that don't have the means to shovel their sidewalk. And, compliments to Sheila Formato. She's been working the past several weeks to get our list together. Mr. President, that will be on our website next week. List of names and phone numbers that people will be able to utilize to help with that task. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Christensen. Council Fallon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to remind people that October is a month that shares 2 special reservations, one in which is to promote awareness about breast cancer. And if you or someone you know is in need of having a mammogram, I invite you to call Hallmark Health, which is at 781-306-6000, as they have an ongoing mammogram program there. Also, October is a month in which we remember people whose lives have been impacted by domestic violence and related assault crimes. So there are resources in our community for people who need to access them. And on that note, I want to thank the Immaculate Conception Parish here in Malden, who has celebrated 15 years of providing support groups and services to the people of Malden who have been victimized by that tragic crime. So if someone is in need of help and support, healing and recovery programs due to the crime of domestic violence, obviously if it's an emergency situation, you want to call 911, but for the support services, feel free to call 781-306-6678. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Fallon. Council Anderson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I don't know how many of you are aware, but there was a great celebration that took place this Sunday in Washington, D.C. on the Mall, where the dedication of the statue and memorial for Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King was unveiled. This great civil rights leader who in this day people say very positive things about, but the memorial went back and pointed out how this great man, Dr. King, though revered today, was really being vilified when he was in the midst of all the civil rights action. But through perseverance and foresight, he just kept pushing, and he, along with the other civil rights devotees, continued to work to end a horrible chapter in our nation's history by bringing about the civil rights for all in America. So it was a great unveiling and a great monument to a person that all of us think so highly of today. But he pointed out in this memorial, they pointed out that it's not always easy to be on the cutting edge of things. You know, it's easy for us to look today and say what great things he did, but back in those days, both people who were against civil rights as well as those who were for, often questioned Dr. King's motivation, and today we see it as this very ordinary man who did extraordinary things. And if you get a chance to go to Washington, D.C., I would encourage you all to look on the mall there to see the statue and memorial of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Anderson. Okay, that's, and Councilor Christian's motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye, opposed, meeting's adjourned.